And with that in mind, with GW, with those 175 price targets, you think those are a little bit on the low end, that we could see a lot more movement when all of these factors get taken into account?
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is being, we've spoken to the analysts. They're basing this on Epidiolex, which is going to be a terrific drug for children with seizures and off-label for adults who have epilepsy, and that's all going to show itself, and we think that's going to be really powerful. That's what the stock's trading at 175 for, right? But the efficacious agility is what people they can't grasp. They're so convinced that Cheech and Chong is the cannabis story, and Bitcoin is Tilray, and this is all going to come crashing down, and we see record shorts every turn, shorts after shorts after shorts, which is great. Right? It's going to be volatile. Remember, the global cannabis index, everybody's talking about this being a bubble, right? It's still down 40% for the year. So yeah, there are certainly stocks that have gotten ahead of themselves, and it's fodder, and it's selling, TV ratings, and it's good content for people to talk about. But the real value here is to really look through the smoke and actually see what's going on. The way we look at this, and we say, okay, there's a number of verticals that we're interested in, right? We're interested in cultivation and dispensaries, although we look at these big LPs as really biotechs and drag and consumer packaged good companies. Somebody had asked me about Constellation Brands and Rob Sands, and I said, well, he's brilliant. He's playing chess while everybody's playing checkers. He just pivoted Constellation Brands from a beverage platform to a CPG company, a nutraceutical platform, a biotech, arm. This is the brilliance of this that people haven't, I think, baked into Constellation's strategy yet. But as we look at some of these other picks and shovels, right, the laboratory space, it'll all go through labs, right? So laboratories we think are powerful. Extraction is to cannabis what drillers are to oil. Right? Certainly Biopharma, we think, as I said, is the next phase. We're seeing that now. We talk a little bit about GW, CRBP this morning, I think is up 40, 50%, 23% short. Analyst price targets of $28, I think, is as the average stock's at $7. Right? People don't understand the science. SVBIO, another one, Vitality Biopharma. I mean, when people do the work, and you're going to get into the sweet spot, which we started to see with Tilray, but there's going to be this sort of chasm between the understanding of what this could be and the actual demonstration of it being that. It's not dissimilar than what we saw in the dot-com. You're basing this on expectations of what it could become, and it's a pretty powerful spectrum if you start to look at consumer packaged goods, you start to look at building materials and plastic composites and food and clothing. I mean, there's not an industry in the world that this won't touch. But if you take a step back and you look at the world right now and say there's about, call it $60, $70 billion worth of cannabis equities out there, right? And cannabis right now is about a $300 billion cash crop, and that's mostly flower. So if you contemplate cannabis and hemp as ingredients for all of those use cases and end products that I just talked about, I think you can realistically say that this is a $2 to $3 trillion industry in 10 years. 2 to 3 trillion in 10 years versus 60 to 70 billion in equities now, that's the mismatch. And because the government has been trying to really keep this down, because the only way the government makes money on this is if it goes through the FDA, right? They don't make money from the states. That's the friction. Right? So you see an outside-in evolution, right? You see Australia, you see Germany, this is going on all over the world. People have seen sort of the dollar signs, and I think they've also seen the efficacy. The morning Jeff Sessions pulled the Cole Memorandum last January, the Canadian and Australian health ministers, their health ministers, were on the tape saying they wanted to dominate the world in cannabis. So unless they want a nation full of stoners, they see what we see in terms of the efficacy, in terms of the wellness, in terms of the potential of this as an ingredient for an array of end products.